All right, welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I have my friend, and this is a long time coming. I know this guy for many, many years. We've been trying to get him on the pod. There's a pandemic. There's all kinds of shit going on. But over 20 years, I've known you, and it's an honor to have you here. I guess I always call you Fletcher, but Fletcher Pennywise, but Dragge is your last name.
Yep.
It's a hard last name.
It's a weird one.
No, it's interesting, though, but people always call you Fletcher. They don't say your full name.
I know, yeah. People are like, what's your name? I'm like, Fletcher. They're like, what's your first name? I'm like, that is. They're like, what? What's your last name? Dragge. They're like, what? What the fuck? So it's like a double weird
It's a cool name,
name.
though.
Yeah, when you're a kid, it sucks, but now it's a little cooler.
Are kids trip on your name in school and stuff?
There was a book called like Fletcher, the dog that hatched from an egg. I got a lot of shit. I was a big like child's book, so I got a lot of shit on that one.
Wow.
When I was a youngster, but hey,
were you as tall as you were and big as you were as a kid?
I was always pretty tall, but I was pretty skinny.
Okay.
You probably saw me in some skinny days, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen different versions of you.
Yeah.
Throughout these years.
Just trying to get back to my fighting weight, but apparently that's every weight.
Yeah. I was going to say there's really no weight for that for you.
Yeah.
So you were born out here. You were in Hermosa Beach.
Yeah, Redondo. Yeah,
Redondo.
Actually, yeah. There's like Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo's the South Bay. Some people include like Torrance and San Pedro and shit, but most people it's just Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo. So yeah, Redondo Hospital. That's where I was birthed.
You were birthed, and how was it growing up in California? Or was it like living like by the beach? You live by the beach, I guess, right?
Yeah. Like I grew up, started off like a couple blocks from the beach, and then moved a couple more blocks away. But it was cool. Just grew up, going to the ocean, like
surfing.
Yep. Started off like obviously body surfing and boogie boarding when I was a little child, and then got into surfing and that. I mean, I was skateboarding before I surfed. I think I started skating when I was like 3 or 4. Literally.
Damn.
Yeah. Obviously, those days are kind of coming.
Were you a good skater?
It's all right. I could
street skate.
Pools. I throw up some grinds, couple backside airs, maybe 2 or 3 completed frontside airs back in the day.
Sick.
Yeah, it's the usual shit. I used to skate like with T.A. and Jay Adams a little bit. Like I had a bunch of friends that were hanging with them. So like the Dogtown crew.
Yeah.
Cooksey and Munsky and all those guys. Mondo. We had some pretty good sessions. We'd roll around to ditches, backyard pools, half pipes all over. Everything. Skate parks. Blah blah blah. Concrete wave.
Venice isn't that far from there, right?
No, it's close.
For people listening, yeah, they're really pretty close.
Alva's house was a pretty good hang. Pretty crazy back in the day. Yeah.
Were you a wild kid as you are an adult? Like, how were you growing up? Like, how were you in school?
Pretty bad. I think I got. I think when I was in first grade, it was like the first call to the principal's office, and the principal told my mom I was antagonizing the other kids. So I was starting early on torturing people.
Wow. What is that? I mean, you had a sibling growing up as well. Was it younger brother?
Yeah, 3 years younger, Christian.
So just you two? Was no other?
That was it.
And were your parents together, or were they
together? My mom's still here. My dad's been gone about 15 years or something like that.
Okay.
A while. But yeah, they were partiers. My dad was like a barfly, so he'd construction work and then come home and 2:30 in the morning, throw on a T-bone steak and destroy the house, get crazy. One of those childhoods.
Wow. So they weren't strict religious. There was like kind of.
Oh, he was strict as fuck, but he was. I hate to say he was a drunk, but he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like 6 nights a week. I mean, he was like taught me how to. I wound up doing construction my whole life with him. He was like really good role model, except for the boozing and the verbal and physical assaults that occurred in the pad. And then my mom can't beat him, join him, but she'd just come home from work at like 5 TRW and she'd start boozing. So we just hit the road, like me and my brother go skate the neighborhood, do whatever. And then
outside a lot.
Yeah, outside, and then come home, have dinner. My mom would have us in bed by 10. Dad would come home at like 2, wake the household up, go crazy.
So your mom was trying to have some structure. Your mom was trying to dinner together.
No, she was boozing. She was straight up. Her nickname was Kamchatka Karen.
What does that mean?
It's vodka. Kamchatka's
okay.
I turned her out at my brother's funeral on that too. I'm like, hey, does anyone remember my mom's nickname? Kamchatka. It's just from the audience. My mom was in the front row. She was pissed. But she's a good sport. Like, she's 86. She's rolling, smoking weed with me, cruising, pretty independent.
Smoking weed now still?
Yeah, I got her sober when she was 71. I'm like, because my dad had passed away, and then my brother was still alive, I think, and I put her in rehab, and she is like, I don't want to be here. They took my pillow, they took my Valium. I'm like, yeah, that's what they do. They take your Valium, and they restructure your shit. But she did 30 days in Pedro in a rehab with a bunch of tweaker kids, and they are like a bunch of them are Pennywise fans. So she got like red carpet treatment.
Oh my God.
And still has friends from there. She never wound up going to meetings, but she goes, I just realized I can't drink anymore. And so she's been sober ever since. And so, I mean, weed's legal now, right? So like, why not get grandma, get her high? So she's into it. It's pretty hilarious.
Did you start drinking at a young age too, being around it?
Yeah, I started probably like 13 or something. I probably started smoking weed at about 12.
Wow.
And then moved into drinking pretty quickly after that. Just like sneaking some vodka and shit from mom. And then by the time I was, like junior high, you're partying at the dance. You're having a couple beers and shit. And, and then by junior high, it was on. It was like straight into everything that you could get your hands on.
Wow.
By the time I was 14, I was rolling hard.
You were?
Yeah, weed.
You're in the streets?
Weed, Quaaludes,
Coke,
PCP. By the time I was 15, I think I was dusting, and it was dropping acid. It was pretty crazy.
And your grades were all shitty at school?
I didn't go to school.
You didn't go at all?
I didn't.
You didn't graduate?
No.
Damn.
No. I didn't. Homework was a joke. Like, who the fuck's going to go to school for 8 hours and then go home and do math or some shit? I only need 5 credits to get my diploma. Yeah. But I just went to school. I basically used to go to high school just to like take cars,
Steal cars?
Yeah, just go get I had a couple cars there that I would
shit.
borrow. I bring them back. So I just ride my bike at like 9 o'clock, get the car, go cruising, smoke some dust, smoke some weed, drive, Palos Verdes, go surfing. Had a couple friends that would roll with me. And then just bring it back by like 2:30 and go do whatever, and then come back the next day and get a different one. So I just high school was just like a playground basically. I didn't go. I just went to socialize. Yeah,
were you start going to shows and punk shows in high school too earlier? Probably, right?
No, high school was like 80, 81, I guess. I don't keep track, but I think my first real show that I would call. I mean, I went and saw the Blasters, but they were considered kind of punk back then. They're rad, but I think my first real show was Devonshire Downs, Wasted Youth, the Chiefs, the Stains, T.S.O.L, Adolescence.
Sick.
Scary.
It was scary for a kid,
right? Fuck, dude, I was like 15 or something, 14, 15. I don't remember. And it was scary as fuck. Older dudes. There wasn't like a lot of, like right then everyone was kind of like 17, 18, 19. So like being like 14, 15.
But you were still big 14, 15.
I was skinny, a skinny little kid, but I was tall. But it wasn't, it was scary. That show was gnarly.
How'd you end up going there? Who brought you there, got you into it?
I don't remember who even drove me to that show actually, but it was like in like probably 78, 79, my buddy went to American Martyrs, this Catholic school, and the kids from the Last went there. Danny Nolte, the Nolte brothers, and so they had a Sex Pistols tape, and it was a cassette tape, and we listened to that, and it was really bad recording, so the production was really blurred, or it just didn't sound good. Kind of getting into it, but like wasn't 100% sold on it just because it didn't sound great, and started listening then, and then we had this record store called Platypus Records down in Manhattan, and I think I picked up like, I want to say Holiday in Cambodia single.
Sick.
Right around then. And I mean, I'd been listening to Rodney on the Rock a little bit, and so the Holiday in Cambodia single never came off the turntable, and then it was into like everything else from there. But like I remember Rodney playing Pay to Come demo, Bad Brains. Yeah. Dude, it was, I mean, that I had like a physical reaction. We used to listen like Sunday nights, like under our pillows with little transistor radios because our parents, they weren't cool. Yeah. With punk rock at all. Like Dead Kennedys, well, who the fuck is this? That goes in the trash can and fireplace immediately. Totally. Yeah, they were not like all, Circle Jerks. What the fuck? So it's like all the titles for Angry Samoans. What's an Angry Samoan? It's like, I don't know, fuck, just, so my dad was just smashing. The lyrics, dude, like smashing smashing records left and right.
Was your brother into punk too?
Yeah, we both got into it like
That's
the same
cool.
time. So he's way younger, but like he wasn't able to go to shows and shit for a while, but he eventually did. So it was pretty, it was pretty crazy. And then just started playing music too right then. Like saw that first show, and I was like, God, I want to do that. My buddy said, you can play guitar, you can play bass easily, and sure enough, like jumped on a guitar and bass with my buddy up the street and started this band called Con 800 with Dougie Carrion singing.
Yeah.
There was a couple. I know. I heard
Doug.
You had Doug in here. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it was kind of like we had this place called The Lot down in Manhattan, bordering Hermosa, and it was kind of it's where I went to like elementary school and shit.
Yeah.
But big parking lot. Well, not that big, but my best friend's and drummer's house was right there on the lot. So we'd all congregate there, and it'd be like 10, 15, 20, 30 people every night smoking weed, dropping Quaaludes, drinking. People were living in the parking lot. I lived in there for a while. So that was kind of like where you went to get your night started, or you just go there to party, and then we practiced in the back room. So the band had some like lineup changes. It changed names and stuff, but then got pretty solid. B. Dougie and Hanky Jack, and this guy John Altz, and we played some parties and shit. And
that was in high school.
Yeah, like for, sophomore year.
That's cool.
By the time we were rolling that, I think recorded, got some pretty cool recordings back in the day from that.
Did those ever come out?
Nah,
somebody has them though.
They're floating around. They might be a little politically incorrect, like most of the shit was back in those days.
Yeah.
But
it's not a safe time to come out with those.
No, I don't think they can come out. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just the usual.
It's worse
shit.
than they saved Hitler's cock.
No, it's not worse than that.
That shit was crazy.
No, it's not. But it was fun. I mean, we had some legendary parties, like full destruction parties, where houses got, completely
destroyed,
like oil through the front window from the garage, like ran through walls, like Picasso prints kicked, like just insanity. And it was pretty cool. Like that, I think if we would ever got a record deal or got some real shows, we would have done pretty good, because people listen to it now. Like we just played,
I know,
like 3 or a month ago or something, July 3rd, and it was epic. Like you play, go, wow, these songs are pretty good. People get pretty stoked on it, so we just do it. I think we've played 3 times in 39 years or something like that.
Holy shit!
So yeah, it's fun though. Doug's like what, 4'11", and I'm
amazing,
like,
man.
I made him play. We did some Minor Threat covers. I'm like, Small Man, Big Mouth. Go, oh, fuck, Fletcher, you really gonna make me play that? I'm like, goddamn right I am. You think I'm gonna miss an opportunity for some short jokes? He's like, you motherfucker. And then I was like, we changed the title to Tall Man, Big Mouth, because it's more fitting, right? So that's how we do it now.
So you get into that music. You're playing guitar. You don't give a fuck about school. You're partying. So what do you want to do at that point? Like when you graduate, do you think about anything? You think of the future at all?
Graduate?
Oh, not graduate. When
that wasn't on the table.
Well, whatever.
At all.
We think about your future at all?
No. I mean, like I played sports. Like I played football, soccer, basketball. Obviously, I was tall, so I got on the basketball team when I was a freshman, and I was like, I just was so into like surfing and skating at that point, and then getting into punk rock. I'm like, I'm not fucking going to basketball practice. I like basketball, but like way more fun skating in a backyard pool and surfing and playing music, right? Mm-hmm. So I just got purposely kicked off the team. I didn't tell my dad, like, I got cut, and he was all devastated. Apparently, the coach said I was varsity material, whatever that means.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. And so it's horrible. Like you're like 15 years old, playing in a punk band, doing drugs, going to shows, sneaking out your window to go to shows, and just surfing and skating. Like it doesn't look like a good career choice in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Looks really bad. Your parents are freaking out. You got a fucking crop cut or mohawk or dye. Like it's all bad. You're listening to I Want to Fuck the Dead by T.S.O.L. Like it's nothing good happening, right? So my dad was just pissed, but I started working for him doing construction. So I was just like, I wasn't really on a path. The only thing I cared about was like playing music and then surfing and skating. But I always just wanted to be in a band, kind of like that was where my real love was, just playing guitar and playing live. Yeah. And so I never really figured I'd make a living out of it. But
I don't know, 30 years later, it's
crazy. we go down the path, and so I'm going to every show. Like I've seen every Minor Threat show in LA, like Dead Kennedys, Scream's first show at HJ's Bar and Grill, Angry Samoans, T.S.O.L, blah, blah, like
Everything.
I think the only band I didn't see was the Germs.
Wow.
Because I couldn't make the ride that night, and then Darby passed away. Right.
Yeah.
I was literally supposed to I got to I'd get picked up by the older dudes at like a bus stop. I'd stash my clothes in the bushes, climb out the window. Parents go to bed, climb out the window. Hopefully my dad's back from the bar, or not going to come in my room later and find me absent. But you did a full fake body into the shit like in the movies, like for real. And me and my brother shared a room, so I'd put my clothes up the street, fucking jump out, go change in the bushes, and then run to the spot. You have to bribe the older dudes, like, I'll buy you a case of beer or
something,
get you some Mom's Valiums or something. And
Valiums is so 80s, man.
Yeah, totally. Fuck, dude, 64 Valiant, handful of Valiums, couple of beers. My buddy, the bass player, his dad had a 64 Valiant. My mom had a script for V's. We would get loaded on V's, get a couple tall boys, and drive around like 15 years old in his parents. We'd steal the car. We'd roll them out of the garage in the middle of the night and get high on pills and booze and drive around in a 64 Valiant singing circle jerks, dude. Like living the dream, dude.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, so I missed the Germs, but yeah, it was, it was like, so we're going to all those shows and stuff, and then everything kind of started fading around. Like 84, punk rock was kind of taboo. No clubs wanted to have it. A lot of bands were breaking up. A lot of
violence too, right?
A lot of violence. Well, yeah, the cops and the riots and all that stuff. I was in the like exploited riot at Mendiola's Ballroom. I got my arm broken by a pig on that one.
Wow.
That was the first time they played in United States. Their first show, I believe. It was that like Bard's Apollo riots.
Cuckoo's Nest. Shit, you were there too?
Oh yeah, Cuckoo's Nest. Saw Black Flags, Henry's first show. At that, and then it was either I can't remember. Henry will probably tell me, or somebody. It was either the Cuckoo's Nest or the night before. There was a party in Carson with Canadian Subhumans, Descendants, and Flag with Henry, and they all played full sets in a kitchen, dude, like this size.
Holy
there was probably
shit.
100 people. It was insane. So one of those two nights was the first time he played with Flag. It might have been Cuckoo's Nest or that one. But Earl Liberty jumped over the back wall, broke both his legs when the cops came in at the party. I remember that.
Damn.
That was sketchy from Saccharin Trust.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, so it like those days were just gnarly. And then the band started fading away and breaking up in the clubs. So I was bored, and I was like, and I'd been playing music the whole time, like different variations of Con 800 and other people jamming with, but nothing serious. And then I was like, I need to start something. And I had moved into Redondo, and I carpeted the garage, single car garage, and I carpeted and called Jason, who I knew from this band called Juvenile Delinquency. He used to play when he was like 12.
Okay.
Punk rock.
Yeah.
And then he was in this band called PMA.
Really?
Yeah, they'd play parties and do covers of like Clash and blah blah blah, and it was really cool. And he always was a cool dude, but I never really knew him that well. So I was like, "Hey, you want to be in a band?" He's like, "Yep." I'm all right. Come over. Got a case of Keystone or 12er. I think it was like $1.99 back then.
Yeah.
Keystone Light. We drank that shit. I showed him the garage. We sat there, talked about like how the dream band should be. Like everything split equally. No egos. Everybody contributes what they contribute, and never does it falter from that. Everybody has an input on the songs. Just take away just like kind of like a brotherhood thing. Like nobody's better than anybody else. Democracy, and so we started rolling, and I was using my old drummer Hanky from the Con 800 days.
Yeah,
and then we had a little falling out, and then someone threw Byron our way. He was horrible. It was horrible. And I'm like, Jason, let me talk to you outside. I'm like, get him off the property. So, dude, we have a talent show coming up in like a week. Like at Maricosta, can we just teach him 3 slow songs? I was like, all right, fuck it. So we taught him like 3 slow songs, played the talent show, lost like horribly. I had a warrant for my arrest, and I was super scared.
How old were you then?
Probably like 20 or so, or no, maybe like 23 or something.
A warrant? Okay.
Yeah, I always had a warrant. Always, well, not usually one, like usually like 6.
Jesus.
I just never went to court. So we did that, and then we got the singer Keith Brown. We were called Pennywise at the time, like this guy Keith Brown, and then that was going okay. Played some parties, got a little following going. Then he wanted to start writing like love songs and shit. He was like into in some heavy chick relationship. We're like, dude, this isn't cutting it. You got to go. Got rid of him. And then it was just me, Jason, and Byron. And Jason was singing and playing bass, and we played a bunch of parties and played Pennywise songs, the Pennywise songs we had back then, and covers and shit. And then Jim came along and saw him play. And we all knew Jim. Jason and Jim were friends. I knew Jim from school and parties and shit, and I'd seen him play. And I was just at one of his gigs, and I was like, fuck, sounded good, man. I mean, his voice is insane.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck, I want to try out for Pennywise. And I was like, fuck, bring it. Give me your number. And he did, and here we are, And he was in another band, like a punk band or something? He was doing covers with some, I think they were called like Dr. Bombay. He'd been in a bunch of, like probably 3 or 4 bands, if I remember, over the years. And they were just doing like random bar covers, probably AC/DC and the Cult and fucking the Doors and shit. And we'd all go to these local bars and get fucking hammered, and they were just kind of like the local party band.
Yeah.
And came over, gave him some lyrics to one of the songs. I probably played him a cassette and just go, here's how it goes. He sang it. Me and Jason just looked at the other, just fucking ear to ear smiles. Like when you have when a good singer comes along, when you've been working with Dougie was a good singer, but he was a punk rock singer. Like Jim's voice was so good, and you didn't need to tell him like the melody. Jason had a lot of melody, but like Jim had his own style, and immediately you're like, whoa, what just happened there? So it was like instant, like, fuck yeah, this is sick. And then it just, went from there till now.
And who named the band?
This guy, Steve Martin, one of our friends, a couple years probably before Jim came in the picture. I'm not sure what year we actually started, but I know it was probably like a couple years or something. And he just kept saying, you need to call your band Pennywise. And he'd come to all our practices. And it's some book about these kids that like overcome this evil, and they band together, and like they're being tortured, and the strength in numbers and positive mental attitude. And we're like, sounds good. I read the Cliff Notes eventually, because like that book's fucking thick. I'll wait for the movie.
Yeah.
But so it was, and it's kind of like, Pennywise isn't a good name. It's a shitty name. Like Limp Bizkit's a bad name. Foo Fighters, like there's so many bad band. Pearl Jam. It's fucking horrible. But eventually it becomes a good name if the band becomes good. So I just think of like Pennywise is not like, something cool like Scream or Minor Threat, or even H2O is a great name. Like there's a lot of shitty band names out there. I mean, like ours isn't the worst, but it's not the best, but we've made it acceptable.
Yeah,
right?
It's perfect. Yeah,
and it's cool with the theory of like, hey, we band together and we conquer evil and we fight, And
I even know that too later on in life, just that movie and all that shows. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's kind of what our whole lyrical content's about, like overcoming hardships and being united. So it was a perfect fit. We're just like, oh, you shut up, stop. Fucking coming to every practice screaming about Pennywise. We'll just name the band that. Stop. He just bugged us enough. So Steve Martin, he gets props for that.
And not the Steve Martin, the actor, or Steve Martin from Agnostic Front, a different Steve Martin.
Yes.
So what do you think? I mean, I obviously you guys never signed to a major, been together 30 years. For you, it's about lyric and the message. You guys are always stuck by that, and that's probably why you have such longevity.
Yeah, I think, we've seen
staying true to yourselves.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of like, well, you went through those times when like going to a major was the devil's work, right?
Yeah.
And didn't you guys go to a major?
We did for one album.
Oh, you bad. We need to take you out and whip you in the backyard after this.
Even Brett Gerwitz, like, you can leave and come back. Like he was so cool about it.
He's like, you will leave and you will come back.
Exactly.
But
you guys never did that.
We went to MySpace, which was kind of a different deal. I mean, it wasn't a major. It was an indie. It was like, I remember like that's when Epitaph, when a lot of labels are doing those 360 deals where we'll give you your advance, but we're going to get your T-shirts and we're going to get some of your touring, and we're like, what? This is so crazy. And like Brett was coming at us with that, and I was like, well, Brett, MySpace is doing this, wants to do this thing, and he's like, oh, fucking MySpace, fuck that. And I go, check this out, and he looked at it and goes, holy shit. Okay, how can we help and be involved? And they actually co-released it with MySpace in Europe. In America, it wasn't a co-release, but the deal was it was a free album. We got to give away our album for like 2 weeks, streaming, or people download it, and we also got to get like whatever $10 million worth of MySpace advertising placement. Like if you're a Toyota and you got our ad campaign, it would cost you $10 million.
Wow!
So it was like, oh, we get to reach a bunch of new people, give a record away free to all of our existing fans, And if they go under, we get our record back. So we got our record back now.
Wow.
We own it 100%. It's out on Epitaph. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we used the system, but we kind of used the system a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like going to like Sony or something. It was run by this guy, Jay Scavo, raddest dude ever. And it was completely our call. It wasn't like a major label where like, we don't hear the hit. It was like, fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it was an unorthodox, but it was definitely weird. We kind of like, we kind of Trojan horsed it, right?
And nobody else was doing that. Back then.
Yeah, it was just it was a one-time deal, and we were right back to Epitaph, and Brett was totally supportive. It was rad.
And then you two did that, and they forced it onto your phone.
That was bad, dude. I'm not fucking kidding. That shit was on my phone for like 3 years or something. I could not get it off no matter what I did, and I get in my car and it would just start playing. I'm like, fuck! I'd just like scream.
That was crazy. They did that shit,
dude.
Man.
That's talk about backlash.
That was crazy backlash.
I think he got karma on that because he invested all his money in. What was it, BlackBerry? Or no, the Palm Pilot.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, Bono?
Yeah, Bono, yeah.
Bono put in like $100 million into Palm Pilot and just went whoop. Kind of like Justin Bieber and BlackBerry.
Are you a U2 fan or no?
YouTube? Yeah, I watch YouTube. Yeah.
You said, no, U2, not YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Oh, yeah. YouTube's awesome, bro.
YouTube's so good.
Did we change subject? Yeah,
no,
sorry.
no. That's
yeah. I like the old U2 shit.
Yeah,
there's some good shit. I mean,
they're
a really talented band for sure. The old stuff is pretty rad. I mean, even some of the newer stuff is cool. So I got nothing against them.
One thing I love about you guys, and we talked a little bit earlier, but like your connection to the East Coast too, and like always looking out for all of us. Like a lot of West Coast bands weren't really doing that, but you, Rancid, a bunch of bands started playing with like us, the Bouncing Souls, Murphy's Law, all that connection. Did you love East Coast hardcore growing up too?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, like, I was all about Black Flag, Hermosa Beach. I mean, when you grow up, like, I was carrying the Descendants gear, and Black Flag's gear into backyard parties, like, as a kid,
Yeah.
Barbecuing chicken, watching Black Flag play. Like, so obviously, Red Cross, Descendants, Circle Jerks, Germs, Black Flag. But my buddy Kevin Salk, who you should have him on. He's a photographer. He's got some pretty cool. He's got a book coming out and stuff. He came back, and I think he brought the Minor Threat 7-inch, and that was it. Like that, like blew my mind. I was okay. So I'm already like playing T.S.O.L, Superficial Love Till My Fingers Bleed, Black Flag, all that stuff. But the Minor Threat, like that. When I heard that, I was like, okay, this is how I want to play. This is the kind of music I want to do. Not that Pennywise is super Minor Thready, but like just that style and all that stuff. I mean, we were always into the Misfits and then the hardcore stuff. Just anything back there. I love hardcore. I'm more into hardcore than anyone in our band.
Yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
like if I bring shit in, sometimes Jim's like, "Dude, let's go start a hardcore band." Like that's way too hardcore for Pennywise, and I'm like. But I slip it in.
You can hear it though so much.
Yeah, I slip it in like on breakdowns and shit. But I just like Sick of It All and Murphy's Law and fucking Agnostic Front, all Madballs. Like they just insane. Just like I hear that shit, I'm just like, yep. Like just want to dance around, but my knees hurt. So all of it.
Rhythm,
and it's funny because I think we've told this story, and you might have been on Epitaph at the time, but we had to play with. It was the East Coast versus West Coast, a show in Italy. Alex, I think, was the promoter, right? The long-haired Alex.
Yeah.
And we were like, what the fuck is this? Like East Coast versus West Coast. And we never met anybody. We hadn't played with any of these bands. It was early on.
Damn.
And it was like Pennywise, Lagwagon, blah, 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 all these Epitaph bands. And then it was like Sick of It All and fucking Madball and fucking AF, like all this shit. And it was like, it literally had 2 rows, and it was like East Coast versus West Coast. So we're like, okay, we got to fight these guys. Like it was because that's when the East Coast rivalry thing was going on, right? Like
Tupac, yeah.
So like, but there was a little of that punk rock rivalry going, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, fuck, this is. And I remember everyone was scared because like East Coast is going to be gnarlier. Just in general, like the rep was worse. I mean, we had like a lot of violence. You put the only
one out of everybody who actually would have fought.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, here we go. I mean, I think I was the first one to walk into the dressing room and I'm like, hey, what's up? And everyone's like, hey, what's up? I was like, nah, fuck, let's eat some pizza or whatever it was. Like, everyone was so cool. But there was a lot of tension going in there, like, it's going to be a brawl. And like, probably, certain people were just like hiding in their bunks or some shit when we pulled up. But I was just like, fuck it, let's get it done, take a beating. And it seemed pretty far-fetched that we're going to have a fist fight over,
Wow.
But I think it was just like the typical.
Promoter probably did that.
By calling it East Coast versus West Coast, and there was that already a little bit of East Coast, West Coast rivalry, it turned out to be the coolest fuckers on the planet. So it was just really cool, and I think music's music,
Yeah.
I mean, the rap shit, the hip-hop violence, that's all perpetuated by people trying to make money and being gangsters and using musicians as pawns, basically, the way I saw it. So I don't know, that's infiltration at a lame level. But I think just music in general, when like going to Europe back in the day, we'd be playing with everyone from the FUGs to like fucking Prince or something, and Rage Against the Machine, Pennywise, like Suicidal. And you were like, why isn't America like this? Like, why are we so like have to be in the scene? And I get the scenes. I love scenes. Yeah. But I also love music, and I love being able to connect with other people and not be judged on what I like to listen to. Mm-hmm. So Europe was just like, fuck, look at this festival where we pull up and be like, oh my God, who are we playing with? Like, oh, we get to go drink and then go watch Rage Against the Machine and then go over here and watch Motorhead, and then we get to watch like Wu-Tang or Ice Cube, and then fucking Metallica. Oh yeah, okay, this is good. And now you see like these new Wimmer fests that are coming up, like Aftershock and Louder Than Life, and all these. They're moving towards that platform, which is so awesome because I think it brings people together. And why does there have to be rivalries? Like, I mean, there's certain music I don't listen to or I don't love, but I don't hate people because they listen to it. Why bother? Like, everyone's entitled to their own freedom of choice. So I just like that about Europe, and I
diversity.
think, and I think since then, you've had basically punk rock's just, we embrace ska, and we embrace fucking hardcore, we embrace fucking Cali melodic core, whatever you call it, and everything. So it's cool because we've found over the years we're just one big community of like-minded people that all 100% pretty much get along. Most of the time. That
Summer Nationals things was really wonderful. It was like us and you guys in New York with the Bouncing Souls. I forgot.
Bouncing Souls. Yeah,
that was a great coming together both coasts.
That was
Summer Nationals.
Really cool
because it was a West Coast one too.
Yep. The original one was like Palladium.
Yeah,
a good story on that one, dude. So we're headlining one of those nights, right, at the Palladium, and we always practice in a garage, and we were cheap. Like we still practice in a single car garage for the last 23 years at Jason's house. Wow. Our old bass player passed away. Still, we were talking about practicing yesterday, and Brian's like, I don't know about getting in the carpet cave, bro. Like we need something bigger.
Carpet cave.
I don't know if that's gonna work. It's literally like 12 by 8 feet.
Wow.
And that's where we wrote like all of our albums.
How's the sound in there? Probably nice.
Yeah, just carpet. So it's just dead as hell. But so at one point I got a storage container for like $125 a month and put some walls in it, carpeted it, and we'd practice in there. And I'd run a power cable over to Don Dawkins' studio where he had an outside light, and I got one of those little whatever, the thing you screw into the light bulb that turns it into a plug converter. And so we'd play in there. And one day he comes over and we were packing up our gear, and he's like, Dawkins. So there's Dawkins and then there's Great White. It's like the metal layer. Yeah. But our buddy Ken Seaton had a print shop there, and he's like, oh, the containers for rent. And we're like, fuck yeah, we'll practice in there. So, and we didn't really talk to the Dawkins or Great White. We'd see him occasionally. And he's like, hey, so you guys got a show? And we're like, yep. And he's like, where are you playing? We're like, Hollywood. Where at? The Palladium. The Hollywood Palladium? Yeah. No, you're not playing the Palladium, dude. I'm like, yeah, we are. What do you mean? He's like, no, someone told you wrong. Do you have a manager or something you could call or ask where you're supposed to go? Because if you're going to Palladium, you're going to the wrong place. And I was like, what are you talking about? We're playing the Hollywood Palladium. Look, the Hollywood Palladium's on Sunset Boulevard. It's a fucking 4,000 seat venue. You're not playing the Palladium. You need to call somebody. And I was like, yeah, we are. And he goes, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. Who are you opening for? And I go, we're not. We're headlining. He's all, okay. He's all, you're fucking tripping, bro. Like, you are not headlining the Hollywood Palladium. He just starts laughing out loud. And we're just loading up our gear into like a pickup truck or something. And I'm like, no. And he's all, you're fucking crazy. He's all, to him, it was complete hysteria, right?
Wow.
And I go, well, hold on a second. And I think we had like a BAM magazine laying around. I'm like, yeah. I go, and it's just a full page ad of like Jim with the mic, like Pennywise. And he's all, what in the, he's all, you fucking playing, headlining the Palladium? Oh, yeah. He's all, you practice in a fucking storage container where you can't breathe, there's no AC, and you take power from my light, and you're headlining Palladium? I'm like, yeah, we are. And he's like, this is fucking insane. He was totally mind-boggled. He's all, I'm giving the keys to my studio. You fucking have access to it. You guys want to start practicing there? You can. Like, it just blew his mind. So he literally let us start practicing in the studio, like big screen TVs, leather couches, AC, like 1,200 foot room of it was crazy. We wrote Full Circle in there. Wow. Part of it. Yeah. So we became friends with him. He had a recording studio, and then it was just like, he was just classic, dude. And then eventually bitter when, you ever heard of this band Nirvana? Yeah, he's all, fuck those guys. They're fucking ruining my life. What the fuck is this shit? Grunge rock. I'm like, yeah, your day's over, bro. The wigs and makeup are out. Like,
shit. That's right. That was your life. Holy shit.
Yeah, they got crushed by that. Literally, like, just turned out overnight. So it was over. So he's all bitter, but he's still a classic dude. He's just like, he's pretty funny.
So when Pennywise records the first, you guys, 1988, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Dropped the first record.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's 88.
Something like that.
According to my notes, 88. But was there a moment being in Pennywise you're like, oh shit, this is going to be a career? Did you ever think it was going to be a career band at one moment, or a certain record that was bigger or anything?
Probably Unknown Road. Okay. Like we recorded on Theologian. We kind of invented that label in a way. We recorded at Radio Tokyo because the Descendants had recorded there. And put out that single. We made 500. Like literally the old story of like cut them, glued them with Elmer's glue, like our record sleeves, like in my living room.
Style, yeah.
And rolled on that for a minute, just playing parties and a couple gigs here and there, and then
you play keg parties for cakes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, I mean, Well, I would buy the kegs.
Okay.
Like the 4th of July legends were like, I would roll around on my bike like a week before 4th of July in the Strand, and find these houses. Dude's party. I'm like, what's up on the 4th? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, you want a band to play? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'll buy a keg of beer. All I need is an outlet. We'll come jam. Oh, what do you do? Just whatever. We'll jam whatever. They're like, fuck yeah. So like we'd show up, and then after the Ironman, like the run a mile, paddle a mile, drink a 6-pack, everyone would show, like 500 people. And these motherfuckers would be like, what the fuck? Like, boom, just the whole house. We'd play in the patio on these walk streets and shit. And it would just go nuts. And they'd be pretty stoked most of the time. Cops would come. So, yeah, we would literally buy beer in order to lure people in and you let us play their backyards. And it worked pretty good. Like, I'll buy 2 kegs. It costs you like $100. And people come and terrorize. And that's kind of how we got our following. But so we eventually got our single on KXLU. And this guy, Vernon Trujillo, was a DJ. We went on and did an interview. I remember I was like on the construction site building the Pollo Loco with my dad. And I'm like, hey, you hear that on the radio? That's me. And he's like, oh, you're on the radio. Cool. And I'm like, he's like, get back to work, boy. Like,
There's no career music. Yeah.
So it was like, So we, rolled that. And then Vernon was like, what's your dream? And we're like, oh, we want to. And the Bad Religion had dropped Suffer. And the production on that record was like different. It was like one of the best sounding punk records I ever heard, and the songs were so good, and we were just so into Suffer, and our music was kind of like along those lines already.
Totally.
We had a bunch of songs. Our single, we tried to put like kind of a funk song, like a hardcore fast song, a mid-tempo. We're like, well, we're going to put 5 songs. We made it play at 33, so we could fit more songs on it, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, we need to have. We're only get one shot, so we should probably put a little diversity on here instead of like. But we had a bunch of songs that were kind of like BR-ish already. So he got us a meeting with Brett, and Brett listened to the record, and he's like, "Okay, this is cool," and he liked it. And he's like, "I'm going to call you. I'll call you next week." And got the phone call. He's like, "Hey, dude, just want to let you know the record's great and shit, but I'm going to pass." I'm like, really? He's like, "Yeah, it's just not what we're looking for."
I think it was the funk song.
Baby, it was. I mean, it wasn't. It was like
I loved
it. Was like it was like doggy rock funk.
Okay,
like it
cool.
wasn't. It was punk funky.
Is that doggy style?
Jason, I think Jim was playing bass and Jason was singing on it.
So he passed.
It's actually good. No, it's so he passed. And me, like my slogan that I made up is wherever there's a no, there's a yes waiting around the corner, right?
I love that.
So I gave it about a week, and I was like, nah, that's not gonna stand. No fucking way. I called Brett back. I'm like, hey, dude. I think you should reconsider. He goes, no, I pretty much made up my mind. I go, no, we got some more songs, and that you should hear. Like I go, we have like about 15 songs on a demo that record's like 2 years old you're listening to. Like, you want to hear some cassette recordings of shit? And he's like, I'm pretty busy. I'm like, well, dude, I'll come up there. I'll play you a couple songs. It'll take like 10 minutes. He's like, all right, fuck, come on up. Came up with like literally this little ghetto blaster. We used to, is that PC to say ghetto blaster?
You can say, yeah,
okay,
fine.
Sorry. So
Chappelle
just made a little Chappelle joke. I'm not letting ghetto blaster go.
No, man.
So we fucking had this little pink radio that we used to record with, and literally like it was my chicks, and I took that up to Brett with a cassette in it of demos, like, and I'm talking demos made on that cassette player.
Damn.
Like, just like you find the best place for it in the carpet cave, right? Like, okay, you can hear the vocal, or you make your own mix just by moving a little piece of shit radio around.
Yeah.
And came up there and played it. It was like, I went. I think one of my buddies gave me a ride, and I just went up there. There's a raging party in Hermosa. I'm like, I'm going to see Brett. Went up there. He listened to like 3 songs. He's just like, are the rest of them like this? I'm like, yep. And he's like, you're signed.
Wow.
Boom, right on the spot.
Persistence, I love that.
Yeah, so I was like, that was obviously a life-changing moment.
Holy
Remember,
shit.
I came back and told like Jason and Jim, unless Jason might have been with me, I can't remember. I don't think he was, but like, yeah, he might have been with me.
That's incredible, man.
Like, dude, we're getting signed. Oh, fuck yeah. And like, okay, cool. We get a record deal on Epitaph. So then it was like, how many records will we sell, Brett? And he was like, maybe 2,000 or 3,000. We're like, fuck. And that's right when CDs were coming out.
Yeah.
Right? So we record that first album, and we're thinking we're going to sell, 3,000-4,000 records, maybe. And within that time period, it started picking up. Lots of bands started surfacing around then.
Yeah,
NoFX.
Yeah, 93-ish. Yeah.
NoFX was already rolling before that. They were running KXLU. I remember thinking, oh, we got competition, NoFX. And
that was right before the year broke with punk and all that shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fast forward a little bit. We weren't making a living off of punk rock, but we were cruising.
Yeah.
And then we go and record Unknown Road.
Yeah.
And we drop that, and immediately, I mean, the record it's one of my favorite records, but it's a little bit different. But it wouldn't really matter if it sounded like the first record, or it's like it wasn't different enough to like be like, oh, look at this really cool band in this genre. It was like still a punk rock record. And it wound up selling 100,000 copies pretty quick.
Wow.
And that was like a life changer because,
then.
like all of a sudden we started getting checks for like $1,200 or something. I'm like, well, I don't have to go to work for like 2 weeks, and it allowed us to start focusing solely on the music and not going to do our day jobs.
Yeah, were you working with your dad in between tours and stuff?
Yep. We built all the Pollo Locos around here, like the first one in LA. And then he was like we were electricians and then superintendent. So I did everything. I did like framing and electrical and everything.
You got trade, you got skills, yeah.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, everything in my house is broken because I'm not going to pay somebody $100 an hour to put a light in or a plug in,
Yeah.
A fucking plug hanging out on my front porch for 6 years, dude. Hot wires.
Oh, wow.
I just look at it every day and go, you put 2 screws in. I'm like, I ain't going down there and fucking with that. Like, it's just, so my house is destroyed because I can't pay anybody to do anything because I know how to do it, but I just don't. So, yeah.
So that kind of changed your life. Sort of 100,000, like, holy shit, this is like real.
Yeah, we had a party. I think I got arrested.
You did?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How many times have you been arrested?
A lot.
Over 15?
No, I thought you said over 50. I was like, I think it's like probably like 42 or something like that now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the longest jail time you've done?
I think the longest sentence I ever got was like 45 days in county, but I only think I did like 21.
That's no joke in county too, is what
county,
I heard.
That's no joke. I mean, I haven't been to county since the riots, so it's worse. It was worse after the riots, obviously, but yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, no doubt. Definitely saw some crazy shit in there. I mean, the scariest people, well, at the beginning, when you're getting processed in, is the sheriffs, because they all had to do like a year before they went out in the field, and their whole thing was just like come in here and just bust heads. And it was scary. It was pretty gnarly in there. And then, you get to like 9,500 and then it's no joke. The shit you see in like Colors and shit. Like,
oh, shit.
Just bunk beds just pushed together, climb in through the front, just, there was some crazy shit going on in there. I never had really any major problems, so I just cruised.
Yeah, when you started taking like your career seriously, were you getting less trouble? You're still kind of wilding out even more.
I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah. The Warped Tour days, man. Holy shit, man. All that.
There's no slowing down.
You never slow down though, right? There's not.
I'm a little slower now because like it's cost me so much money. I have I have a lot of felonies, but I have no felony convictions. So that's lawyers and money and time, and I still like to have fun, but like fighting's out now. Can't fight anymore. That's dangerous. That's big money loss, like civil suits and shit like that. I've had to pay some people off, so it's. And
what do you think it was that you became that kind of wild kid? Because it seems like your dad was focused with his job. Your mom was chill. Was your brother chill?
Dad was focused at the bar, coming home going crazy, pulling out the guns and shit. Yeah,
that's true. You saw.
Yeah, so
it was in your home.
Right. It was. I just think back to like, okay, my training ground was like crazy parental brawls, like violence and destruction, like breaking a lot of shit. I'm like, well, why do you think I'm so good at getting drunk and breaking shit? Like I'm talking from like 6 years old on till like I left the house at like 16.
Was your brother in the streets too with you, kind of wilding out?
No, well, he got popped when I think he was about 14 or 15 for arson, and he got a couple years in the CYA.
Wow.
And that was it, man. He was done. He's institutionalized. I mean, there was some good years when he got out. I think he did like 2 years, and he got out, and then we, were just running amok. Like me and him going to like T.S.O.L. shows was just a nightmare. Like me and him drunk in the streets of L.A. was just get the fuck out of the way. Like just crap.
People knew it.
The Dragge brothers did. He wrote that on the back of a picture of him and my mom. Like that's a prison picture.
Wow.
I found it when he passed away.
But he passed away. How old was he passed away?
39, like 12 years ago. Pretty crazy. So, I mean, he ran hard. So we did that, we ran amok, and then he got into dope, started shooting dope, and that was it. So he probably did about 12 years. He usually did like a year to 3 year stints went to prison twice under my name.
Under your name?
Having to come visit you. I don't think that's going to work, bro. Because we would always use each other's names. So like when he wasn't in trouble and I knew I had warrants, I'd get pulled over, I'd use his name, and then he'd use my name. And then, later when
that was cool. That was cool with you guys to do that. You knew
I wasn't asking for permission.
But like he was,
So then he turned the fucking tables on me, and he started using my name when I got straight, and I'm like trying to go to Canada and shit with Pennywise. So he like during the last, picture within the last like 15, 17 years, he got 2-3 year stints, like one for Grand Theft Auto, possession of a firearm, and all that shit. He got 3 years under my name, and then he got another one for Grand Theft Auto as well and some other shit. And I I got him out of jail, and I went to the parole office. I'm like, hey, so here's my brother, here's his booking paper or his prison paperwork. Here's me. We don't care. Go see the judge. If he doesn't show up for parole, if he absconds, like we're coming to your house looking for you. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. Like, yep, that's just how it goes. So that I went to see the judge. Judge's like, no, I'm not overturning it. Go get a lawyer. It's just crazy shit.
It wasn't even you.
Me and my brother standing in the courtroom. The judge's all, nope, go get a lawyer. File a motion to vacate. I'm like, but you fucking convicted him. I got a police report right here. My fingerprints are not the ones that were taken in Long Beach. It was crazy. So he did me pretty dirty more than multiple times, but I did him dirty on the early years. So his payback was a bitch.
But you were super tight and.
Yeah, but the heroin years were pretty bad. We had a big, like I put him in rehab a bunch, and he had people looking to kill him. He was gangster. He'd rob drug dealers, just walk in unarmed and go, give me all the money, all the dope, and he was so scary that they would just do it.
Unarmed.
Unarmed. Yeah, he was gnarly, and so he was kind of like a shot caller. Like I think level 2, maybe he'd hit a level 3 yard. He was pretty gnarly. Man. He was part of that whole deal. So. I recently tried to go get a shotgun, and is that okay to get guns?
Yeah, dude,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I went to apply for one legally.
I don't think you need a gun personally, but
you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
But sometimes other people have guns.
Sure.
But I went to get it, and I got denied by the Department of Justice.
Oh,
and I was like,
shit.
fucking brother got me on this one, too. So I got to go.
It's like a movie and shit, the brothers. Like, I don't know.
There's a movie for sure. But, yeah, he was, he was gnarly. We had a couple gnarly fist fights, and it just, the heroin thing can go south pretty hard on the whole family, and he was thieving and just fucking everything that he could do to... He was fucking hilarious, though. He was funny as fuck. Everyone that knows him knows he was.
Since he was your little brother and you brought him around to shows and stuff like together, did you see the transition of him becoming more like crazy? Or did you see
Yeah, well, no. When he got out of CYA, he was already kind of probably saw some gnarly shit in there.
Was he big as you?
No, he was kind of a chubbier kid. And then he got out, and he was looking pretty good out of CYA. And then every time he went to prison, he'd get fucking swole, like just huge. And then he'd come out and just start partying again. But he just, he was gnarly. And so coming up through the ranks, you go to prison, dude, it changes you. That's it, period. Mm-hmm. He was institutionalized. He didn't give a fuck. I mean, he would do the most scandalous, gnarly shit you could fucking imagine. He did not give a fuck and rolled it, like, hard. Like, I mean, he got stabbed. Like, a couple of dudes were after him. He ripped off some guy's moms for, like, $40 worth of dope, and they got out of prison. They went after him, 2 dudes over in Wilmington, and they stabbed him, like, 7 times.
Holy shit.
Fucker was downstairs at Harbor General smoking a cigarette with a punctured lung when I got there.
Wow.
Like, just fucking maniac shit, dude.
Holy shit.
I got it this one time. I bought him a van because like these dudes were looking to kill him, and they're like legit gang members. I'm like, you got to get him off the streets because he would live wherever. He'd just roll. I'm like, you got to be mobile. And my van's broken. So get over to the spot where it's broken, and he's got a fucking big ass abscess as usual on his arm. I'm like, dude, you got to fucking go to the doctor right now. You're gonna fucking die. He's like, yeah, it's fine. It's just fine. It was always fine. You know, it's like you got a big ass boil full of pus, and it'll kill you. You know?
Yeah.
No, fuck it. I'll do it later. I'm like, all right, your van's fucked up. We're at a mechanic shop. I'm going to fix your van right now, but while they're fixing it, you're going to go to the urgent care. Okay. So that was like bribery, right? So we get there, and the chick's like, oh, my God, like, we got to open that up. We got to lance that wound. So she starts digging around in there. It's like the size of a golf ball.
Damn.
Maybe bigger, like half a tennis ball almost. And she just pulls out this chunk of fucking black tar. And she goes, oh, my God, what is this? Like a hard piece of tar. And she, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. She goes, I think it's telephone pole tar. And she's like, what? Yeah, I think someone sold me some fucking telephone pole tar as dope. And like I melted it down and I shot it up, and then it got like hard in my arm in the vein. And she's like, how would you know that? And he goes, well, I shot some up on my hip too. I dug that one out with a knife. And I looked at it, and it seems like telephone tar to me. Like, that's the kind of shit this maniac was doing.
That's gnarly.
Like, and he's already dug one out of his hip, knowing that it's telephone pole tar. He's like matched it up. Yep, that's what this guy sold me. And he's got one in his arm, just rolling around, still doing dope, fucking gangster shit. It's crazy.
Did his actions ever want to make you get sober or chill out? Because you saw the road he was taking?
No.
You didn't see it?
No, I saw it, but I know. I mean, I wasn't doing dope, but I mean, the shit I was doing drunk was just as dangerous in different ways, right? Like physically dangerous, mental, like, you know, police shit. It was, I mean, I got away with way too much, so like I've definitely toned it back.
Yeah.
Now I try not to get that drunk, like you've probably seen me many times, where it's just
so
like
many times.
Nobody, whatever you say, it's just like, get out of my way. Like, why are you even talking to me?
But
like,
at the same time, I feel like I've seen and heard you do crazy drunk things, but then you're also like after it happens, you feel bad and you apologize to the people.
Apologize, yeah.
So
that'll fix everything.
But I'm just saying, like the next day, you're like,
yeah.
There's been. I have like a list of like crazy shit that you probably already talked about. I'm just saying, like, just the most famous things that you've been involved in. Legendary, like, urban legends of, like, obviously the BB guns on the Warped Tour, shooting Fat Mike on stage. On stage, you'd have a vase full of fucking vodka every night. The K-Rock hostage situation, Love Line. The Kid Rock shit. Alien Ant Farm shit. The Rage Against the Machine dressing room. Taser, arrested. Mark Hoppison, Tom DeLonge kidnapping. All this shit.
Yeah.
So there's truth to all those.
Yeah, they're
not urban myths.
Those all happen.
Yeah.
they're probably worse than most people heard, you know?
Do you have any regrets for any of that stuff? Looking back,
I mean, only people that that got really fucked up. I mean, like, it's usually in good humor, practical joking, but sometimes I take it too far. I mean, like,
the BB guns was gnarly on the Warped Tour.
That's child's play. Still got him. Still shoot my neighbor.
Shooting Fat Mike in his ass on stage.
Oh, dude, it's so good because, like, you're shooting somebody on stage and nobody knows they're getting shot, so he's just like, oh, and it hurts, and he's just moving. It's a fully automatic BB gun, like a machine gun, right? And then he just stopped the song and go, God damn it, fucking Fletcher's somewhere up here fucking shooting me. Somebody needs to find that motherfucker. And then he'd start the song and be and just like, I had this killer perch because the stage had all those like, little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
And I carried the gun around in a bag, like a plastic bag, so you couldn't see the gun.
Okay.
I just poked the barrel out and just but you don't even need to aim that thing because it just comes out like 50 BBs at a time.
I think all the new young fresh bands in the Warped Tour feared if Pennywise is going to be on the same tour as them every summer, because then also it's the night barbecues and you walked around you kind of ran the whole campgrounds. You like the manager of the barbecues and shit.
Kind of, yeah.
Like kids had to pay dues almost, even fucking I don't know.
Yeah, people got beat up with meat more than once, slapped
golf
around.
carts was stolen and flipped over and fucking.
Oh yeah, like dude, fireworks. Yeah,
dude, Kevin Lyman, shout him out. He's got a big love and heart for you for sure.
I love Kevin. He's put up so much of my shit. It's insane. Kevin was doing an interview in Montreal on the Warped Tour on this like bridge over this swamp. You like backstage catering, you remember it?
Yeah.
There's something park in Montreal, and then you go down this bridge and you go to the stages, and like he's just in the middle of like much music. It's like MTV.
Huge shit back there.
I just snatched him up and just fucking threw him into the swamp, and then I dove in on top of him because I wasn't just going to throw him in by himself, right?
Yeah.
On camera, and he still claims he has like a disease from that swamp, like a parasite.
Holy shit.
And then I broke his knee at like that show. That Nokia 20-year anniversary.
Broke his knee?
Well, like, yeah, we were just kind of hugging and dancing, singing Bro-Am, and I slipped, and then I just took him down with me and like landed on him, like 300-pound crusher.
Shit.
So I've got that.
I saw you did Jack Grisham too on stage.
God,
tackled him into the barricade at the.
You know why that is with Jack? So me and my brother went to T.S.O.L at Raji's live recording. I don't know if you look up what year it was, right?
Back in the day, yeah.
And my brother knew Jack well. Like, my brother was just a maniac, and he would go torture Jack and go to T.S.O.L shows even without me. Like, they were buddies before.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't me and my brother together. And we were on the stage, right by the front. We're just going crazy. T.S.O.L, like one of my favorite bands. And, America, land of the free, free to the power. We attacked him. We double teamed him, got the mic from him, and just like threw him down on the stage, and we sang that part on the live album. So we're like, fuck yeah, like, 8 months later, a year later, like, the live album's out. We're like, yeah, it's going to be so rad. Like, me and my brother are on this fucking record, put it on, check it out. And it's Jack singing. I'm a motherfucker. You re-recorded the fucking vocals on the song. Like, and I won't go into detail about how much he re-recorded of that record, but let's just say we weren't on the record and we sang it that night live, and I was fucking pissed. So next live record at the Observatory, I'm like, Jack's going in the crowd. Like, he can't re-sing this because everyone's going to know that he got fucking tossed. And my idea was to like throw him into the pit, like kind of pick him up and just toss him. But it went south, and we just wound up head first into the barricade. So
he's a big dude too.
He is. We were like upside down, like on the floor, and he just looked at me and goes, "You motherfucker, you fucking asshole! I'm a get up boy." And he just jumped up and finished the song. So that point that on Dance With Me, it's just blank right there because he can't re-sing it because everyone's like, "Wait, you were in the it's on video." So I got on the record technically, even though I'm not singing on it.
Holy shit!
Right?
Do you consider some of the stuff you're doing not bullying, but kind of tough love to the young bands? Like, you coming on a tour, I'm gonna fucking.
Nah, I never think. I mean, but that's how.
I feel like some of it's tough love with you.
I don't.
98 Mutia boys, you fucked with them.
Yeah, but I just fuck with everybody.
I know.
I remember,
equally.
like when I was in first grade. Remember, I was antagonizing the kids. That never stopped. I mean, I love pissing people off, and in a funny way. But that's when I like. You go back to it. Like, that's when I regret when somebody like I blasted a fire extinguisher down at the Offspring show, and there was like a kids' room next door, and the white powder when it was like the toddlers' room.
Oh shit!
And it fucked that. I got in big trouble with like all the wives and shit. And like Noodle's kid was in there, and he was real young, and it fucked him up. And he had like nightmares and shit. And this is horrible. Nightmares and had to go to therapy and shit. It's all good now, but I felt horrible. Like that wasn't my intention. How do you even say sorry for that? Like, I'm like, dude. So me and his kid are it's all good now, and like we're buddies and shit, and he's not scared of me anymore. Like, we made friends and stuff. But that kind of shit, I still regret that to this day. You know, there's certain things that I've done that have definitely crossed the line, that become unfunny and to the point of someone else has suffered.
I mean,
that's not
the
cool.
details, but the Kid Rock stuff, you did apologize, gave him the chain back. That, when I heard that story, I was like, the next day Fletcher came and he was like, that's what I'm saying, you're apologetic. You knew what you did fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of had that coming regardless. But like, he's on the Warped Tour and Kevin's like, you need to go apologize. So I apologized. I mean, I felt kind of bad because I didn't know him or have a real reason to do it.
And then you saw him later on, it was whatever. All good.
Yeah, we haven't had any beef. He had a security guard that's supposed to keep him away from me, like 400 feet at all times at a couple shows back in the day. And but he was, we were playing this one show, and he was like,
"This is after the Warped Tour time."
Yeah, and they were huge. Like, I think it was like a month later they sold like 9 million records or something. We were playing this one festival, and we got done, and he was headlining, and these guys came and said, "Hey, you need to get in your bus and leave." We're like, "What? We just got off stage. Like, we have all this booze and food. We're chilling." No, you got to bounce. You know, it's in Kid Rock's contract. I'm like, fuck, what contract? Stuart's like, what contract? Like, go get the contract. So they come back with the contract. So it was basically like, you have to leave after you're done. You have to leave. It was a radio show. You have to leave the property. And we're like, nope. So he comes back with the contract and goes, and Stuart goes, "Let me see that," and just snatches it out of his hand, crumples it up, throws it on the ground, and goes, "What contract?" And he had like 4 security guards with him.
Wow.
And I was like, let me tell Kid Rock Fletcher wants to see him. So he goes and come with me, and he takes me in the dressing room. And dude, that was that thing where they had like that stage with all the squares in it, and it was strippers. He had like 10 strippers on tour with him, right? In the background.
How long after the Warped? Was it years after the Warped?
Yeah, years. It's probably like 5 years or something. He's huge. He's absolutely huge. And I walk into this room. It was like backstage, and it was like 10 naked chicks, people doing blow, people smoking weed. I swear to God, he had like a throne, like a traveling throne. Like, I think it was like gold, and it was like elevated. And he's just sitting up there like smoking a cigar with his chain on. He's like, "How can I help you, Fletcher?" I just looked around and I go, "Guess the joke's on me, huh?" He's like, "I guess it is. What can I do for you?" And I'm just like, just full Van Halen video. Just naked, cocaine, fucking weed, just raging. And he's just like overseeing the whole thing, just like dreamland, you know, for like a rock star, right?
Holy
so
shit.
he hit it just how he wanted to. I'm like, "We just want to hang out and watch the show, bro. No beef, no trouble." He's like, "All right, we can allow that, no problem." And we watched the show. So yeah, it was pretty funny. And I mean, I've had a couple people like mention my name around him. Like somebody's in an elevator, and they called somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I'm in the elevator with Kid Rock." And they go, "Oh, tell him Fletcher said hi." "Hey, what's up, kid?" "Fletcher says hi." Boom, just attacked by security guards and just fucking thrown out on the floor of the elevator. So
shit.
He used to tell people he fucked me up. He beat me up, which he didn't. Yeah. And I guess recently he's admitted that he probably couldn't beat me up.
No, I don't think so either.
But yeah, I mean, he's Kid Rock. What are you gonna say? Like, the guy's he's different. He's different than us.
Yeah, but there's a thing, people listening, like the Warped Tour had a rule. It doesn't matter how big your records are. If you sign a contract, you're playing on a flatbed for $200, but you have a hit song on MTV. It doesn't mean shit. You have to play 11 in the morning or 12. Or you wake up every day. You get your schedule at 10 a.m. It doesn't matter how big you are. So some people weren't down with that, and they would go and try to complain to Kevin. And Fletcher would be like, "Yeah, that's how it goes." You know what I mean? Like, a lot of bands were like,
"That's what
why
happened.
am I on that stage? You're on this stage." It didn't matter. That's your.
And he was like, "We need to be on the main stage," and he was like trying to push no effects. So I was only visiting on that tour when I kind of went off on him.
Oh shit!
And Kevin and Daryl will tell me this: "You wait till you see this guy. Like, his manager's in here talking about how we need to move no effects off the fucking and this, that, and the other." So that's when I rolled up on him.
Yeah,
wasted. Kevin and Daryl were like, "Let's go get him. He's going on stage right now." And that's when I rolled on him. So yeah, it was the
only incident I never really saw or heard about it. I know it's not an urban legend. I know there's supposed to be a video of it, but it's the only one with me being like an animal lover. I was like, damn, and that respect to the elephant is when you snuck into a zoo, went to go pet a baby elephant when the mom saw you and picked you up and body slammed you?
Yeah, it wasn't, it's not exactly how it went, but
okay, tell me.
Close enough. I should have brought the video for you, but
oh, wow.
Yeah, we were just going to the safari park to like festivals are boring.
Yeah.
You come up in a safari park next to the festival. It's like, oh, it's game time. Like we're playing with animals tonight for sure. I'm an animal lover, so I wanted to go pet the tiger cubs, right?
Wow.
Which would have been a fucking mistake. I would have probably been dead. But so we're on the way. We cut the fence, and we enter the Serengeti Wild Animal Park, and like me and Ronaldo, I think, and like Adam Schwartz and Zoli, whatever, blah blah blah, and Ronaldo came across the elephant compound first. Like the first animals he saw was like a 3-car garage. He's all, there's elephants in there. And I was like, oh, fuck, I love elephants, He's all, it's pitch dark. Don't go in there. And I went in, and it was pitch dark. You couldn't see your hand. And I could hear them. I could hear their chains. So I just went up and found them and just started, petting them and shit. And they were all like my height. They were like 7 foot,
wow.
With tusks and shit, right?
Were you wasted?
Obliterated.
Okay.
Like embarrassingly obliterated. So I'm petting them, and then those guys came in eventually, and I was kind of like, I was feeding them a little bit of beer. They liked it. I know some animal lovers are like, you can't feed an elephant beer. No, beer? I had 1 beer. How much could it was like a shot. It wasn't even a shot for an elephant. Like, I just was, you want to sip, and they fucking loved it. So, I mean, shit. Yeah. I mean, like, the one elephant got a couple sips off my beer, and then, Zoli was like, don't give him beer. They don't like them. I'm like, well, why is he drinking it? Why does he want more? Like, but regardless, I was going to let him loose because I was like, they shouldn't be chained up in here, which would have been a big mistake because they would probably ransacked the festival and killed some people or something.
Wow.
So thank God I didn't get that far. But I was just kind of like, these are my brothers. These are my people. Like, thought I was Tarzan, took my shirt off, getting all like one with nature. I really love elephants, and I was like hugging them, and I'm like, they could kill me, but they won't because they're my brothers, and just, like playing with these fucking giant animals. And then so there was 2 of them I was talking to, and then the third one grabbed me by the arm, wrapped his trunk around my arm, and mom, dad, I don't know what it was, but big enough, and pulled me over and just gave me the whole like head down and just like trunk, tusk, head, just boom, gone. Like if you flicked a piece of paper, I was gone.
Holy
and you can't,
shit.
like I got pulled into the shadow so you can see the elephant rear back and hit me, but I'm just in the shadow so you can't see me actually get hit. But I flew like apparently like 15 feet through the air, hit the wall like 7 feet off the ground sideways like Spider-Man. Like you just hear me go, ooh, because I didn't know it was coming. It was like getting hit by a car.
Holy shit.
And I thought I was dead for sure. I thought it was internal bleeding because I fell down on the ground. And then I had my beer bottle still in my hand. It sounds like fucking Scott Radinsky threw it at the wall, like 100 mile an hour. Like the beer bottle hit. So when you hear the video, how hard the beer bottle hit the wall is like how hard I hit the wall.
Holy shit. Break your ribs and shit?
Yeah, broke a couple ribs and my elbow, and my hand was cut and jacked up. But
fuck.
It was pretty brutal. So I learned my lesson on elephants.
He had to hit you with the trunk from behind, right?
No, he put me right in front of him, and he just bowed his whole head, pulled his whole head back like this, and just went. Like, I mean, I had a tusk mark across my rib cage up into my armpit, so it was almost like I got forklifted, And I mean, like if you flick anything, it's gone. That was like that. It was game over. Like it was just high speed. It was like getting hit by a Volkswagen.
You feeling the next day must have been fucking brutal.
Oh, I was done. You had to go to the hospital. They wanted to keep me in there for a couple days because I couldn't breathe right. Like, you're going to get pneumonia if we release you. You have to be heavily sedated so you breathe in deeply or you don't get oxygen in your lungs. Well, I got to show 25,000 people tonight, Like super glue the pick to my hand because I had to have like surgery on my hand and I couldn't feel my fingers. And I remember Byron was pretty mad. He's like, if he drinks any more alcohol in this tour, I'm going home.
Was there?
Like,
were you drinking from day one on stage with Pennywise, or that later on in your career that started happening? Like drinking before you play, or only after?
Oh no,
Didn't matter.
Practice.
Okay.
Like at practice, drunk every practice, basically. The whole thing was like, who's bringing the beer or whatever? So we just drank at practice, drank at shows. I mean, I got sober, or I quit drinking. I wouldn't call it sober for like 2 years.
Yeah.
At one point, and I like got in some trouble, and I was looking at like a assault charge. So
while you were sober?
No, I was
Okay.
drunk. I was drunk on New Year's
fuck.
Eve, and the next day it was like one of those ones where like, oh, that would have been bad. That would have been like my 4th felony assault. Like, oh, better cool it. So I quit, but it was no big deal. It was easy. And then besides that, like every show I've been buzzed at or drunk or wasted, depending on who you ask. But yeah.
But are you sober now?
No. I mean, right this minute.
No, I know you are now.
Yeah. But no, I don't really, contrary to popular belief, like I don't drink. I used to drink every day, but over the last, 15 years, I drink on tour every day, come home, don't drink for a month, If there's something to do, I'll go get drunk, but it's not like every day booze and no daytime drinking. Even on tour, like I would never start drinking until before the show. I try to come to the show like an hour and a half before. So if I come 2.5 hours, we're going to have a problem. Because the Diet Coke's only going to last so long before I put some mixer in there. So, yeah, I try to keep it a little more chill. It's better for the band, better for the fans. Like but we've always been a band that partied,
Yeah,
and there was a time when Randy was partying too. So it'd be like everybody. To me, the best show is when everybody in the band's wasted, except Byron, because Byron can't play that good when he's wasted.
Yeah.
He might have one or two, but like when Jim's wasted, it's fucking awesome. Like that's fun. To me, it's not the definition of punk rock, but like things going wrong is punk rock. Like 100%. Things not being perfect and just having fun and just we're notorious for like throwing the party.
Yeah,
and we're actually our fans. Like you can go to a lot of clubs in a lot of places around the world, and they'll be like the most booze ever bought and ever drank in this venue was when you guys played here.
Wow!
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
It's a fun band. Yeah,
we should get a cut of the fucking bar.
It's good energy.
Yeah, I mean,
is it true you got Blink-182 on the Warped Tour? Like when they're kind of young. You had something to do something with them.
I tried to get him signed to Epitaph, and Brett didn't want to sign him, and then about 6 months later, I told Brett, "Hey, dude, if they don't make you money, take it out of my paycheck." But he's like, "No, I don't. I'm not really into the band."
Wow.
Okay. 6 months later, "Hey, I'm signing this band called Blink." I was like, "Really? Never heard of them." But he put the deal together, and they were ready to go. And then and then the MCA popped up. I was like, "Hey, we want you," and I was pretty pissed about that. I wasn't stoked on that. But they went the MCA route, and then there's that story about how I negotiated them like onto the Warped Tour for the next year, but
Night style.
They're like, yeah, they were but they were like, see, the true story of that is they've got it wrong. That I knew they were going to be huge, and Kevin knew they were going to be huge. I'm like, you're putting them on next year, Kevin. He's like, I don't know, bro. And I'm like, you're putting them on for $500 a night next year. And they were getting paid like $200, like right now, like they're one of the youngster bands who's playing. Well, they're going to be on here next year. You're going to pay them. Well, it might have been like $1,000. Like I was like, I'm going to get you $1,000 at show next year, and they're like, no way. Like fucking sign the paper now, Kevin. Kevin's like, okay. Like he signed it. It like really happened, and of course they figured out they sold like fucking 10 million records like a week later, and they're like, we ain't playing for $1,000 on the Warped Tour. Like that was the plan to get them back there, sign this contract. Of course, it didn't work. But so yeah, it was. They don't know that side of it.
They blew up so fast too.
Yeah. I mean, they
love Pennywise. They always talk about Pennywise being influenced and all that stuff.
Yeah, we took them to Australia when they were really young. Nobody, because they were getting used on some Taylor Steele soundtracks. Oh yeah. So it was awesome. It was fun as hell touring with them. Just a bunch of smart ass kids. Shout out to Mark, by the way, fighting the shit, doing good. I think. Hopefully,
that's what I've been reading too. I saw Tom post about it as well.
Yep. PMA his way. He's fucking awesome, and he's been super cool to talk to lately. He's got a good
talk to him, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a good attitude.
Good spirit.
I don't talk to Tom much. Travis is obviously busy right now.
Yeah.
Gaining followers on Instagram. I'm like, hey bro, I know you did good. Like hit me back. Says no, I'm in Italy, motherfucker.
I'm so happy to see he's flying. I was really fucking stoked to see that happen.
Yeah.
It's a long time. You just mentioned that surfing. You got us on 2 videos. I know you remixed "I See It in Us" for a BMX video. Maybe it was a Jason Steele surf. You took our song and remixed it. I remember back then.
Yeah.
For one of those compilations.
Yeah, yep. For I think it was Taylor Steele comp, like
Momentum.
Thing? Yeah, Taylor Steele is a surf director. He did Momentum and Focus, and he's basically the guy. Like punk rock was always synonymous with like skating.
Yeah.
And in the skate videos from like a long time, but surfing was still like reggae or like soul or whatever. Like it was like Jerry Lopez surfing Pipeline to like Grateful Dead or some shit, right?
Like Sublime or something, maybe, no?
I don't even think Sublime had made that breakthrough, but Taylor did that. Taylor did that Momentum video. Is there any of those Liquid Deaths around here?
Yeah, can you get one?
Thank you.
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death. I'll take a flat.
Yeah. I never heard of that guy until you brought him up. Those compilations, yeah.
Yeah, so he did the one, and he had like Bad Religion and Pennywise and a bunch of bands like that, and it was like the coming of age of like Slater and Kalani Robb and Machado and all these new surfers. Thanks, bro. All these new surfers were, blowing up, and they were doing airs, and it's a different style, and it went really, really aggressive. It went really well with that soundtrack. So we did some tours. We did a tour with you, I think, on that, right?
Yeah.
And that was Theologian put out a comp, and that comp was so good, man. It was like so many original songs on there that were like. That was back when you could call Rancid or call Descendants, be like, hey, can we do a song? Like, yeah, and now everybody's so busy. Not that you couldn't call Rancid and say that now, but it was just easier to get things like that done now. Yeah, and now everybody's got on their own path. But yeah, that was a rad comp, and I think we did did we do a full U.S. tour with you on that one?
Yeah, I was just looking. We did like 12 tours. Our friends sent me lists like the Snow Jams, the West Coast tour, the East Coast Southern tour, Mexico. The Mexico shit was awesome.
Oh, God, that was great.
I couldn't get back to Mexico. That was epic shows with you guys.
We were talking about that yesterday, man. That was
really
insane.
Great shows.
Yep, really fun.
I mean, besides, what do you think is like one of the biggest misconceptions about you?
Me personally?
I think people are scared of you but don't really know you.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, like I've heard so many people tell me that wound up working for Pennywise that were in bands or roadies. They're like, dude, we see on the Warped Tour, the policy for the whole band and crew is just go the other way. If you're in line for catering, turn around, go back to the bus and wait till you're not in line. I'm like, wow. Like that.
Does that bum you out?
No, it makes me kind of laugh.
You like have a reputation like that?
I don't really think about it much, but I mean, like I know it's become pretty obvious over the years. Like I'll talk to people and they won't tell me they know me. Like I'll do business with someone or I'll be somewhere and like, well, yeah, I've been listening to you for I just didn't really want to, talk, fuck with you. And it's I mean, there's some like there's a lot of people that think I've like killed a bunch of people and shit. That's a pretty weird one. Like like I'm a killer. I know there's like my lady I'm with, Rosemary, her friend. So we're in Australia on tour with some bands, and she's with me, and like her friend sees her hanging out with me and stuff on this tour, and she's like, "Hey, Rosemary, like he's killed some people," and she's like, "What?" She's like, "So and so," and I'm not gonna name names, but people in the music industry, like they actually think I've killed a bunch of people, and I'm like, "Yeah, cool, whatever." I'm like, haven't killed anybody. I mean, I've wanted to kill. Well, I have a long list of people I'd like to kill, but I apparently it's not normal to plot out how you kill and dispose of bodies. Randy just informed me of that. Do you ever do that? Like,
no.
Plot the actual how you're going to do it, and then how you're going to get rid of it. Fuck. So I'm finding more and more people don't have that problem. So I guess, I'm probably good for it if I need to. Let's just say, but no, that's one that's like. So, I mean, if I'm walking up to somebody at a bar in Hermosa and they're like, oh, fuck, that dude's killed people, like he's a murderer, that's probably not the best,
Nah.
That's a misconception.
Yeah. 100%.
And like someone was like, oh, yeah, and he tortures animals. I'm like, if I will kill you if you torture an animal.
You just told that story, and I had a totally different story. You told me,
it's like I love animals. Like I love. I mean, like I would literally, like. I would pick a dog over a human any day of the week. I pull over in the fucking fast lane, like to pull giant pit bulls off the fucking center divider with like 100-mile-an-hour traffic. Like, I'm not a vegetarian or vegan. Try to be.
You tried?
Yeah, I was at the market. And I was like, I should bring Toby like an Impossible burger or something. What's up, bro? A little gift.
You fuck with those? You like those?
I love them. I actually like.
Me and the media, the people.
Dude, I make all veggie tacos like. Morningstar, whatever. Like, I like veggie tacos better than I like, just put the Lowry seasoning salt in the in the fake ground beef. Like, I have no problem. I still eat a steak here and there. I'm not like strung out on meat or anything, but I would love to go that route for planetary reasons and also health reasons. You know what I mean?
At least you see the connection with
and suffering of animals.
Yeah, at least you see that. Most people don't see the connection of like. I love dogs, but I eat hamburgers. You should see that it's all connected.
So hypocritical.
Not many people see that.
Like people trip out and they're just like, I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, it's like you cannot be an animal lover and not consider being a vegetarian.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
and the environment too, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the environment's a huge part of it, but nobody, people that don't want to know about it, they're not going to, I mean, you probably know how many gallons of water it takes to make one hamburger patty?
A lot, man.
How many?
I think it's like over 500.
1,200,
yeah.
Double cheeseburger, like what, 3,000?
Did you watch some of those docs too?
I've watched them all over
and over
again.
Yeah.
So 100.
We had a baby pool during that doc came out. We had a baby pool in the backyard. It was really hot. I was like, man, I haven't eaten animals since 1988. I can fill up my fucking baby pool with water because a hamburger takes more than the baby pool. Like
it's like
crazy.
187,000 gallons to raise one cow. People are like, what? That's impossible. Like, okay, so you have to water all the grain and corn, whatever you're feeding the cow. You have to grow those plants. What? You got to grow those plants and you feed them to the cow, and the cow's got to drink water during his whole life. So they're like, oh shit. It's like you worry about flushing the toilet in the shower,
but a short shower.
It's more you're wasting more water on a fucking hamburger than you are in your shower. I tell people this all the time.
That's
and
cool.
They're like, oh bullshit, and I'm like, oh well, here, want to Google it real quick?
Like I'm taking short showers. I'm driving a Prius, but I'm eating a hamburger at McDonald's.
If everybody
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, if everybody stopped. I always had this thing I wanted to do on Earth Day because my birthday is on Earth Day. I was like, why don't we do like a full shutdown of everything? Like the only thing is emergency services. No work, turn your electricity off, no water, have your water in the fridge, whatever, no showers. The whole world, like Christmas basically, but no cars, nothing, just one day worldwide, Earth Day. And people, it's impossible. What's up, COVID, motherfuckers? Like, boom, it just, everything done.
Yeah.
And not for days, like weeks. Like there was times when it was just deserted streets and all. Just imagine, hey, we're just going candlelight today or whatever, Yeah. So I don't know. We're destroying the planet, and people will be like, "Fuck you!" Like global warming's a hoax. Yeah, right. It's pretty fucking hot in here, as a matter of fact. Like it's like Mother Nature's Mother Nature, and there's the ice age and all that shit. But like, hey, scientists, like if you believe in anything scientific.
Yeah.
Which you have to because it's fucking science. Like we're depleting the ozone layer. What's that? It's like sunglasses for the planet. And when the sunglasses have a hole in the middle and the sun go to Australia. I fell asleep on a trampoline for like 17 minutes in New Zealand. I looked like a fucking lobster that came out of a boiling pot. Like, and that's where like certain places where the ozone layer is depleted because of chemicals like, aerosols and shit.
Yeah.
What? Spray paint and fucking hairspray. Like, it's like people don't get it. They don't want to get it. And it's like cow burps. It's not cow farts. It's not farts. It's burps. It's the methane. Like all that shit. Just read about it. And
it's worse than cars, man. All that shit.
It's worse than cars.
Yeah.
And so you're eating meat. You're driving a car, and like it's just going to get to the point. I think the scientific community, the worldwide scientific community, like a month ago, or came with a report that's like we're in deep fucking trouble, and we better do something about it. And if you keep ignoring it, it's going to be to the point where it's kind of like people that don't want to get vaxxed. Mm-hmm. Like my buddy didn't get vaxxed, and he got COVID. He's like, I'm getting vaxxed. I'm like, if you get out of the ICU and you live, and he's back in the hospital actually for this. Because he's got no oxygen. And he's in for like a month. It's like now you believe it because COVID was a hoax, and now you believe it because you got it. Like, yes, I believe it. It's not the flu. Like he almost died, right?
Yeah.
And so then you're a believer. Well, in like 10 years from now, people are like, oh, maybe global warming is a problem. Oh, and maybe we should have done something about it 10 years ago. And like, of course, nature is going to take its toll no matter what.
Yeah.
That's going nature route. But if we can help stop this shit or slow it down, we should probably start doing it. And one of the things is like not eating meat.
Yeah.
And not driving gas cars. I mean, I'll always drive hot rods until they pry them out of my fucking dead hands, like I'm.
Yeah.
But like.
You think it's a convenience thing for people? Like it's not.
Well,
like,
I mean.
What's stopping you from not eating meat, you think?
It's probably a convenience thing. Like, I was thinking today, like, I'm going to try to eat vegetables all day, but where can I get some good vegetables at Carl's Jr. Like, like I can't. Like fried zucchini don't count really. Like, and when I get like good vegan food, I love it. Like I have no issue with it. I mean, you can get like a Beyond Meat taco at like Del Taco and shit.
Fucking banging. I love that
one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, it's programming. Like I always say, like people gotta, when you're a kid, we associate a hamburger with like a fucking toy. You go to McDonald's, get a Happy Meal, get a toy and a little yellow wrapper. If you were like, hey, son, do you want to kill this cow and grind them up and put them in your mouth? You'd be like, fuck no, Dad. I like cows. But when you give them a toy and a little yellow wrapper, then it's like
whole life's been like that.
And so you just get you get programmed, and to get off of it is it's really hard.
And milk does the body good and all that shit.
People, you need protein. Okay, fuckface, how do rhinos and gorillas, and they're like, what? And so one thing that was interesting to me, and I'm not like preaching vegetarianism or whatever, it's just do what you want, but like be smart, which I'm not yet. So I'm a hypocrite. But
at least you know that you're conscious of what.
Yeah, like I make an effort to not eat meat when I can't, when I don't, or when I have the chance to make the right decision. But like triathletes, like a bunch of gnarly athletes were like, I've broken all my records. I've come to a plateau. I hold, like I am the fastest of this, that, and the other, whatever. What can I do? Let's go vegan and do completely plant-based proteins and everything. And guess what? Their times improved. Like you can look it up that some of the gnarliest athletes went full vegan and they crushed it. And I know when I went like a year without eating meat at one point, but I know that when I go the vegetable route, like, I'll make like a giant pot of vegetable soup. I can't believe we're talking about all this shit right now.
I love hearing you talk about this, dude.
See,
I love it. I never talk about veganism with this guy, man.
Yeah, so I mean, like I'll do a pot of vegetable soup and I'll do like all veggies for like a week and I'll feel fucking better. Period. Like meat.
So it's good if you know it feels better.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of like.
Cook a lot?
That's the problem. Like I'm always on the move, so I don't. When I'm home, I try to cook, but like half the time you're out, and then it's like, oh shit, let's eat a steak because it smells pretty good.
Is there vegan options at your Mexican restaurant? Do you still have that, Los Muchachos?
I do not. That place is closed. My standing room. It took my partner at standing room. It's closed too, or the one we had is closed now. But I'm like, we need a veggie burger. Fuck that. We serve burgers here. Eventually he got to kill. He made his own patties and he got to kill it, and he sold the shit out of them. He's like, you were right. I'm like, of course, dude. There's a bunch of people that want to be healthy and like are conscious of that shit. So I mean, to each his own. It's just like if you don't believe that meat is having an effect on the planet and that we can't sustain, like with the population growing the way it is, we have to keep growing more cows and more pigs and more chickens. And the fish population, we cannot, if we keep growing humans, we're going to run out of fucking food. And then guess what? It's going to be all plants and we're all going to be eating Impossible Burgers, period, because that's all you're going to be able to eat because we don't have any room to grow any more cows or the capability to process it. So it's coming, and fixing, the global warming is coming too, because we're going to be forced. Just watch and see. Yeah. Don't take my word for it. Just wait and take. I
love the open-minded to watch all that shit, all those docs and stuff.
Yeah, I love that shit, man. I'm a hardcore preacher. I'm just a fucking, like I said, a total hypocrite. I give my friends shit all the time while I'm cutting into a T-bone.
You had a lot of investments, though. You've been smart with your investing. Like you have the Screaming Leopard Studio. Is that you still have that? Mm-hmm. That's an OG spot, right?
I wouldn't call it smartly invested. I would call it made zero money off it ever in my life.
Oh, shoot. What about you have a skate line with Serial Killer, too? Is that
Serial Killer, that was old.
That's some old school shit, though.
Yeah, that guy, Matt McAfee, he passed away years ago. And that
was a big brand.
He was crazy.
Man.
Yeah. I just had the skate end of it with him, which was fun. He was talk about a fucking maniac. Woo!
That guy,
That guy knew how to party, boy. He liked the rock cocaine. He liked to get crazy. But yeah, he's gone, rest in peace, and Serial Killer's gone. It still makes a little resurgence here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I thought it was the side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the studio you had for a minute, though, right?
I've had the studio. Me and Byron own it, and Justin Thirsk from 98 Mutant Chaos Delivers, Jason's brother, Mark Theater from Theologian was in on it. But it just never made money. Like we just put money back into it, and with a lot of local bands like record, we give free days, we give discounts. So we just kind of turned into like a local watering hole for bands that are up and coming. I'll go produce bands there and shit. And
that's cool.
And once Pro Tools came out, like you can record in your living room. So why are you going to go pay money to be in a studio if you don't have any money?
Yeah.
So, and we're not some high level. We got really good gear, but we weren't like one of those places that could compete with like NRG or something. We're like a $400 a day studio, and if Well,
you've been smart. You own your place, obviously.
Yeah.
That's
about it.
Long time ago, but you got there a long time ago, though.
Yeah, I got it for cheap a long time ago.
Smart though.
That's it. I mean, restaurants. Restaurants, tattoo shops. Those are good.
That's right. Yeah.
I got 3rd Street and Deep Seas in Redondo, and those are both crushing. Like we've pretty much we're like, this is the punk rock shop, and
cool.
Everyone that works in there listens to punk rock. We're like a little family of hairdressers, right? There's always some fucking drama down there, but really great people that we got working long termers, and that's cool to be involved in that. One of these days I'll start going down there and slinging ink if you save me some room.
Yo, I'd love to get a tattoo from you, man. That'd be fucking amazing. This is a kind of funny question. You think Pennywise would ever open up or Broham? That's the first song of the set.
We have opened up with it. We have opened up with it when we knew the show was going to get shut down right then. Like the riot was just starting, and we're just like, "Bro, him go!" and just hit it. Just probably happened a couple times, but yeah, we've thought about that. Like, why don't we open with Broham and then close with Broham? It'd be kind of fun.
They played it at sports events and all kinds of shit, right?
Yeah, it's NFL licensed it now. Wow. I think like a couple teams, the Ducks use it for a goal song. The Jacksonville Jaguars. It's like World Series,
dude.
Super Bowl. It's pretty crazy. It's one of those songs that
it's a life of its own. It's so massive.
Yeah, it's not even. It's like transcended beyond punk rock. Just people know it. They don't even know. Like, so I could be sitting next to a bunch of people singing Broham, and they have no fucking clue that I'm in the band or I wrote it or helped write it. So.
And then then being in a band with Jim your whole life, and then him leaving, then Zoli coming in, is that weird for you to be in this brotherhood? Then a friend of yours come in and takes that role. Was that a fun experience? I mean, the record's great.
Zoli fun?
Well, I'm just shout out to Zoli. I mean, is it weird doing with a new singer? Like if I left and my band did the record with somebody else, like
the whole thing was weird. Yeah. I mean, obviously we didn't want Jim to leave, but you know, it's like 20 years of mayhem. I mean, obviously everyone's guilty. I mean, Jim's got his issues that we have issue with, and like Byron, Randy, Jason, everyone's got issues. Me, especially me. So like, you got to put up with all these fucking wackos. Like, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm not causing any problems here. It's like, yeah, you just fucking bit some random dude and lit a fucking, building on fire and fucking smashed all the windows of the bus. There's no problem there. And that was just last night. Like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of refocused. Like when Jim came back, I'm like, yeah, you get in that I got in that selfish mode where I was just drunk and just reckless. You've seen it 100 times. And it's just like, oh, this is fun for everybody. It's like, nah, maybe it wasn't that fun for the people that kept up till 7 a.m. on the bus, like doing whatever I was doing.
No matter what.
Yeah, I had my party, just like, fuck off, like go back to bed. It's fine. And it definitely wasn't. So we've all had to deal with each other. And regardless, Jim.
It's a true brotherhood, though.
Yeah. Jim took a break, and we kept rolling, and Zoli came in, and Zoli, as much as I love him, he's like a maniac. It's like it's like 20% love and then 80% like complete maniac. And so Zoli's a great singer, but it never felt like Pennywise. It never we put out a good album, like blah blah blah, but it never felt like. We're a brotherhood. We're a fucked up family.
100%.
And it was like, we're going through the motions with Zoli, and like, no disrespect to him. Like, he was just cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
He was funny. He had his moments, and it was all good. Like, we're still friends and everything, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't the same. So when Jim came back, you're like, oh, here's what we've been missing for the last 3 years.
Personalities and everybody together, it works.
Right, and we're still fucked up. We're still trying to figure things out, and we always will be. I think, like, got to get to a certain age where we're just like, hey, we give up. Like, we all just don't want to argue anymore. Like, let's just, here's the path, here's the railroad tracks. Just stay on this path and don't even fucking look out the window, But
you love it. You love playing still. You love all
love it. Yeah, it's. I mean, like Jim will say, like Fletcher will play for a fucking, a 6-pack, and it's pretty much true.
Yeah.
He literally just said that recently. I got an email like, you'll play for a fucking 12-pack, and I have other things going on. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much true. I mean, and it's not, I don't know, just like I said, like it was like basketball or punk rock. And it was punk rock, you know, just that feeling of getting on stage or getting in a backyard party. I just like the mayhem. Like if you give me like a 2-foot high stage with a bunch of people like pawing at me and spitting beer on me, I love. Like, fuck a festival with a 20-foot barricade. I hate that shit. But I mean, like, okay, it's fun. Like on a certain level, it's cool. 50,000 people, but like, I'll take 200 people stuffed in this kitchen right now, all day long, any day.
Yeah,
like for free. For fucking liquid death.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be beer. This shit's pretty cool.
It's really good though, right?
Oh yeah. It's actually horribly good because you first started drinking it when I first started getting. I think you sent me some.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, God, this is not good water, but wait a second, I really like it. And everybody that drinks it
looks like a beer too. So if you're trying to be sober,
you can keep it real. You know, looks like a Modelo.
That's my neighbor's drink. Sometimes I'll go with my water.
Mm-hmm.
Have you have any like crazy near-death experiences from parties?
Jesus,
like one that almost scared you straight?
Like getting smashed by an elephant?
Yeah, that's pretty. I would say that one.
He tried to finish me off too. Luckily, I didn't unchain him, or her, whatever it was. No.
Wow.
Do the females have tusks?
I don't know, man.
That's pretty. We don't know that.
We don't know
bad.
that shit. Yeah.
Probably don't. So if it might have been 3 males in there.
So that's the scariest problem.
No, that wasn't. I was blindsided, so I didn't really. But near death, dude. I've rolled like 3 cars. I've had so many gnarly near death experiences, from motorcycles to jumping off of 8-story buildings over boats in the harbor. Just the dumbest. They both have
tusks. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it was the mom. But it's I've done the dumbest shit you can imagine. I mean, I should be dead 100 fucking times over.
Yeah. Do you ever think why, or you feel like you're invincible?
Nope. I never think. I thought I'd be dead by the time I was 21. When I celebrated my 21st birthday, 21st, I was like, how the fuck did I make it? Because I was going hard, like 15, 16, dust, acid, quaaludes, booze, cocaine. I was dealing fucking cocaine when I was 16 years old. Damn. Like slinging dope, like driving around in a car with like weight.
Wow.
Dumb shit. Right? So.
Strapped up too, probably.
No, okay. Strapped up back in those days. Like just dumb shit. So, and I'm not like proud of it or anything. It's just like I've done so much dumb shit and gotten away with it that I wouldn't say I'm melting out. I mean, I still ride motorcycles. I still,
live life to the fullest.
Yeah, I'm broken though. Like my knees are broken, my hips broken, like my back, my neck, everything. Yeah. So many car accidents, so many things. But yeah, definitely. I rolled a car one time on the baseball field at my school, and
why you went to that school?
It was a couple years after I left. And I woke up and I was wasted. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Fresh trim. Yeah. So I woke up the next morning and I couldn't hear out of my left ear. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, something's wrong. And I was so hammered during the accident. The car caught on fire and blew up and shit. And
damn.
And I reached up and started messing with my ear, and there was mud and dirt in there. So my head came out the window on the muddy grass and shoved a piece of mud in my ear. And it was like, that's pretty close to dying,
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's young too, man. Like,
I had a lot.
Well, you had no moments where you're like, yo, I'm gonna quit everything. This is too fucking crazy. But you always seem to maintain and go from sober to not sober and fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the only time was that one like assault charge I was about to get, and I was like, you can only get away with so many assaults, like especially like felony assaults.
You get striker. What does that mean when you're a striker?
Well, strike is a felony conviction, a violent felony conviction. So there's a whole thing about that too. You could go.
So if you're a 3-striker, you go to jail for life. Yeah,
but they were given like the 3rd strike. They were giving it to people for like selling parsley to an undercover. That's the whole. That was a scumbag shit that they were doing, locking people up. And now, recently, there's been a law that goes and looks at all those cases and lets people out that shouldn't be convicted. Man, like you're getting a fucking. I mean, like I try to tell people that argue that like. You get in a barroom fight with your buddies, and then like something else happens. You're out at a gig or something, and you get in another fight. That's 2 felony, like and then all of a sudden you get busted for like selling oregano to another. The first guy that got struck out was at the Redondo Pier, and he stole a piece of pizza off a table from a kid. He walked up. He was like a drunk dude down at the pier, and he's like, "Can I get one of those?" And the parents had like walked away, and they're like, "Oh." take it, and he walked away with a slice of pizza, and he got busted for felony strong arm robbery. He got life sentence.
Holy
They let him out
shit.
quietly like 4 years later. Like, I happened to see the article. I was eating breakfast. Back of the newspaper. It's like, yeah, they didn't want anyone to know, but like that kind of shit. So I mean, like, I got a couple felony assaults with a deadly weapon, and I was just like, man, one of these is going to catch up with me, and I got this one. Well, I didn't get it. The guy was trying to press charges on me for it. I didn't do anything. I'm not even going to tell you the story because it's fucked. It's politically incorrect. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
You were never scared of going to jail?
No, I never scared of it.
Even to this day, at this moment. I mean,
I don't want to, like, because I know, what's going to happen to me. Like, it's, where it's just inevitable. I'm a white dude.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not hanging out with the others as they call some people in there. And it's like, it's just it's not a path I want to go down.
Yeah.
It's like that's the problem with the prison system. If you're going to live, you're going with your people, and that's fucking it. If you don't, you're probably going to die. Yeah. And that's how fucked up, the government is. Like, it shouldn't be like that. And so I don't want to go to prison because that's just, it's not fun. Doesn't sound like that. Doesn't sound. I mean, and I know a lot of convicts. I know a lot of people that I grew up with that wound up, doing like life sentences.
Dead or jail. Yeah.
And my brother was, one of them, and helped out a couple people. Got out. I've helped out a lot. I've actually fucking thrown a lot of memorials for a lot of people that were convicts that got out, and some of them get it together and they don't want to go back. So yeah, I wasn't ever scared of going to jail. I mean, I went enough times.
Yeah.
But I never went to state prison, and I'm glad I didn't, and I'm not planning on going. But then again, I sit here and go, wow, all it's going to take is one night where I just cross that like 14th double rum and coke, because that's about what will happen after about 14 doubles.
Fuck.
And I'll cross that line, and something stupid's going to happen. And so it's definitely playing with fire. But the last time I was looking at another felony assault, and I was like, well, I need to straighten my shit up because this was a close call, and it was because of alcohol again.
Yeah.
And so I quit. But here I am still going strong.
Can you handle your alcohol at the age you're at now like you used to? Or are you feeling it weighs on you?
No, I think I'm better. Like, it's harder for me to get drunk. Like, I can drink more. It's crazy. It's insane. Hangovers are fucking horrible still.
Probably worse when you get older. Because you're like,
I don't know how it works, but
you look good though. You're like 55 now.
Yeah, 55.
You look good for your age, man.
Fucking old man.
You got a good hairline too.
It's the alcohol. Whatchamacallit? Preservative, right?
I always check out people's hairlines when they come on the pod. He's got a good hairline.
Right.
This guy.
Don't worry, it'll be gone eventually.
Can you ever see yourself sober though in the future? Like, do you want to grow old drinking the beer on the porch?
I think about it all the time. Like, actually, recently, because I'll get drunk. I won't think I'm drunk, and I'll do some stupid shit. Like, I'm fine. I'm fucking dead sober. It's like, how you just have like 13 drinks, and they're doubles, and you're not sober. But I keep telling people I'm sober, and I'm like, God damn, I was fucking stupid last night. Did some stupid shit. So, yeah, I think about it all the time. Like, maybe I need to fucking turn the faucet off for a little while. But
have you learned from your mistakes with all that stuff?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's
I love how honest you are, though.
It's just, I mean, you're gonna see me. We're gonna go play a show, and you're gonna see me. And I'm gonna be drinking, and I'm gonna be drinking more. I'm gonna be drinking on stage, and I'll be drinking after, and then you'll see me in the hotel doing some stupid shit, like, oh, Fletcher's drunk. Here he goes. No, I don't learn. I don't know why. It's fun. It's fun getting drunk. I mean, I used to want to go in the bar and I'd order like a triple because I'm like, let me get fucked up really as fast as I can because I want to start breaking shit and causing trouble. And that was like the excuse. Like, let me just get drunk because then it's not like I wanted to do a preemptive, like, I'm going to go break shit tonight or just cause problems. It was like, let me get drunk so then I can have an excuse to do that shit. Be an asshole. And, like 98% of the time it's funny. And then the 2% of like, okay, you did this last night and now you got to say sorry and get your wallet out or get your bail money out or like, or you're going to feel just fucking downright shitty because you were a fucking asshole. So yeah, it's fucked up. It's not really an excuse, but it's definitely, it's kind of like temporary insanity. Mm-hmm. When people do shit drunk, it's literally like they're insane people.
But you enjoy it. You have fun being destructive.
Yeah, I have fun, but like I'm not gonna go like bite, Randy.
No, I know.
While I'm sober. I mean, although I probably thought about the shit you do when you're drunk is not normal.
Yeah,
and it's literally like, but you're the one putting the shit. I mean, it's like, hey, come to the bar and get drunk and
you
keep your car keys in your pocket. Just don't drive home. It's like
you started at 13 years old though, Max. You really young, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Both my parents were drinkers.
Did your dad drink up until he passed?
No, he got sober.
Wow. How long was he sober for?
He was sober for like, I want to say 12 years or something, because he got lung cancer.
Okay.
And so I'm talking like hardcore. This is a guy that would, when I was working for him, say like 16, 17, because I was already kind of pretty much out of high school. I had already dropped out kind of in a way. I go to work, and he dropped me off at home at like 5:30, and he wouldn't come in. He'd just go straight to the fucking bar.
Wow. And
he'd come home at 1, 2 in the morning, obliterated, and then wake up at 7, like, get up, boy, it's time to go to work. And I'll be like, fuck. Like, I went out partying with my friends. I went to the gig. I got home at like 11 or 12, and I don't want to go to work. So it was like, get up. That was a work ethic. You go to work, you have like 1 beer at lunch, maybe 2, and then you go back to the bar at 5. And so that's my whole life was like construction work, start drinking at 5 or 4, Miller time, and then go.
Miller time,
and then get up and do it again. And I did that like my whole life until Pennywise came, and then it was like, oh, the same thing. Let's Miller times it. Well, band practice was Miller time.
Yeah.
And then showtime was like, yeah, you just go and you party till 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, and then do it again the next night. Go to sleep, wake up. I mean, like literally on tour, like I usually just wake up and start drinking.
Damn.
But I'll party till like 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning, and then I'll get on the bus, go to sleep, get to the hotel room, go to sleep. We're playing at 9. I wake up at 8, take a shower, start drinking, get to the show. By 10 o'clock, I'm fucking lubricated, and then it's go time.
I mean, I don't know if that's Scar's fault, but there's been times where we would check in the hotel with him in Snowcorn, and he would have a stapler stapling his arm when we were checking in. Like, there's a story to one of the tattoos. You just took a tattoo gun up your whole arm, right?
Yeah, that one.
This one all the way out.
Yeah.
Does your back say fuck you or fuck off?
Fuck off.
And you have a lot of home tats you did on yourself or no? Just have people random.
No, I did the line. I do like whatever. When usually someone's tattooing me, I'll take the machine for a minute and do a little of work. They get kind of freaked out. I'm like, no, it's just tradition. Let me do the D, like on that, or the J.
Oh, you did it on there?
Something bad. That scar right there, it was from that night of the 100,000 record party. 100,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard that one. Well, it's on the pod. You have to hear. We talked about the elephant too. We can hear.
You didn't hear? The Epitaph has a DVD of it's Punkorama.
Yeah.
Where they made a cartoon of that story of the scar.
Did you tell that story today?
No.
Was that stabbing?
I was like, we got wasted. They threw it like a tequila party, like the Mexican restaurant. And there was like some Ohio blue tip matches. So I kept on like.
Out of your tooth?
I'd flick them and they'd light. I'd light it on my mouth and flick it.
At people. At
the party. And the guy, John, who worked in the shipping room, one of them landed on his face and it like stuck to his cheek and burned him, right? So that's lame. So that's a bad one, right?
Okay.
That's where you feel bad in the morning, right?
One, yeah.
Facial burn, right?
Facial burn is definitely one to feel bad about. Yeah.
Like the first 20 people that got the Ohio blue tip were
Nothing
like,
happened.
"Oh, fuck you, Fletcher," and then the other was like, burned his face. So then me and like some other dude, I forget Jimmy or something, who worked there, went to Smalls. And he was lecturing me about how what an asshole I was and how I burned John and I was in trouble and fucking why did I do it? And I was like, it was an accident. He's like, you're a fucking asshole. Like going on and on. Keep in mind this is our 100,000 record celebration, right? So
first record, right, on the road?
No, second.
Oh, second. Okay.
So I just took a whole.
That's right.
And I was trying to get the bartender to give me a drink, and he wouldn't. He was like trying to cut me off. Smalls, remember that bar in Hollywood? It was like pretty famous. Anyways,
I'm not really a bar guy, but I might have heard of it.
Yeah. So I lit a whole pack of matches on fire and like set it on my arm right here. And I told the bartender, I'm like I'm Satan's disciple. Give me my fucking beverage now, or I'll kill you, or I'll something burn the building down. And I was just like burning my arm.